All right. Good morning, everyone. This is Jackie Geisinger and our fabulous trainers today. We're so excited. Our trainer extraordinaires, we have Neil and Dana Phillips with us today. This is Leadership 101, course number 2 of 3 for a very special edition of leadership for you from all of us at Jafra Cosmetics. So we welcome them. Welcome, Dana. Welcome, Neil.
Hey everybody, this is really exciting. We're really happy to be here too. You know, last time that we spoke, we really focused in on who is a leader and the characteristics of a leader. And today we're really going to take the next piece, which is the tasks of a leader. Now, some of you are probably going to see this as a review. Others of you, it might be new material. But in any event, if you are really a leader who wants to be growing and glowing and bowing and making it happen, you want to make sure that you're teaching these action-centered leadership things to your team, not just waiting until people are a branch manager, because the more that they know about leadership, the more that they'll ease into those positions of branch manager. You know, leadership is not a title. We talked about that last week. We worked on that. We took up last month, rather, we worked on the individual in the first class. Today, we're going to really focus in on the team and how you, or the task and the things that you do, more importantly. And then the very last class in this, we're going to talk about the team and promoting and developing people and helping them to be better. So let's get right to it. Let's talk about specifically what are the activities of a leader in Jafra. What are the activities? There are 3 buckets, and this is a concept that you can carry from the time that you begin in Jafra. You have 3 different buckets in your business. The first bucket is your personal business, and we're going to do a deep dive in today about what a leader is doing in their personal business, particularly in times like this where we're pivoting to almost all social media. The second one is on recruiting, and that's bringing people into the business. That's your personal recruiting, and it's also recruiting with your team. The third bucket is a big bucket, and it's one that we often neglect, and that is developing other leaders. Now, I'm not just talking about, oh, well, that's just promoting branch managers. That's advancing. No, developing leaders is working on character, it's working on onboarding, and we're going to do a deep dive on that one today too. So those are the 3 buckets, and when you work and carry each one of these 3 buckets and you are intentional, you will be a balanced, growing leader. If you just carry one bucket, which some of you have done before, oh, well, I'm just working on my personal business. I'll worry about recruiting after I get my personal business all taken care of. And you're just carrying that bucket, you know what happens? The other 2 get left behind. If you're just, this month, I'm just working on helping my branch managers and then you're not keeping the other 2 buckets in mind, and you have an uneven business. And trust me, it is much easier to continue to fill those 3 buckets at a time, and you know, now, instead of, oh, now I've got to go back and I've got this empty bucket. You know, there's an old song, there's a hole in my bucket, dear Liza. Not want any holes in your bucket. You want to make sure that you are balanced in all of those. And Neil, you want to kind of share with them, we've done some research on the activity of a new manager. Now, I'm going to say this, there's a different breakout, a different pie chart for leaders of leaders. When you get up to having 5 or 6 leaders, there's a different pie chart, and we work with that at the director level. But for now, we just want to share, this is the breakout for successful people that we have done hundreds of interviews. This is how they spend their time and how they break out their time in each one of these buckets. And so, Neil, if you want to go ahead and share that and talk a little bit more to that.
Right, and before I get into the time distribution piece, let me just add one more thing here, which is everything else is just stuff. If you can't fit it into one of these buckets, then it's not really an important activity for you as a leader, as a business person, as someone who develops others. So if it's not in one of these buckets, it's just stuff. So with that said, this is what we've discovered based on our experiences working with lots of leaders. If you're going to work 20 hours a week as a leader, then this is about how you need to split your time among those buckets. You're going to spend 10 hours a week in terms of sharing, which is your personal business. You're going to spend about 6 hours a week in terms of sponsoring, and you're going to spend about 4 hours a week in terms of developing leaders. 10, 6, and 4. Now that's a 20-hour week. If you're in a position where you say, well, I've got to keep this other job going and I want to become a leader, I can only give it 10 hours a week, then what you're going to do is you're going to scale it down. So you'd spend about 5 hours a week in terms of sharing, about 3 hours a week on sponsoring, and about 2 hours a week on developing. So you're going to keep the same proportions, you're just putting less hours in there. Same thing if you go up to 40 hours a week, you're going to double everything. You'll do 20 hours a week on your personal business, 12 hours a week on sponsoring, and 8 hours a week on developing. It all stays about the same. Now, as you become more experienced, you become a leader of leaders, then these proportions will change a little bit for you at that point in time. I will say that when that happens, you still keep roughly the same amount of time in terms of sharing and sponsoring your personal business, but as you add more hours as a leader of leaders, that third wood bucket, that developing other people, is the one that really grows at that point. But that's something to look forward to down the road. At this point in time, this is the best way to think about how I'm going to split up my time. So that's kind of your template, your benchmark. It's a thing you want to be thinking about as you're scheduling your time. So
Neil, I just would like to put in the chat right now, I think this is kind of an admission. How many of you truly are spending 6 hours a week on sponsoring? You know, I think that's something that honestly, I think that's where we fall down. Oh yeah, I'm working on my personal business, or I'm working on helping other people, but it really breaking it down, you know, if you will shift your business to look like this, I can tell you that amazing things will happen, right?
Amazing things will happen, yeah. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do a little bit deeper dive in terms of time management for a leader. And we'll spend quite a bit of time on this. We'll look at what fits into those 3 buckets as well. Before I move into that, though, I just wanted to mention a couple other things really about time management in general. Now, Dan and I both, when we started as coaches, we went through Franklin Covey coach training, which for those of you familiar with Franklin Covey know that it's really a focus on your purpose of what you want to achieve and how do you assign time to that. And there are a couple tenets to really start the whole process off. The first one is if you don't give time to it, it's not going to happen. Okay, you can say, oh, I want to be a top leader, I want to be a district director. If you aren't working on sponsoring, though, it's never going to happen. All right, you need to make sure that you've got the time dedicated to the tasks to get you to where you want to go. So time's an important part of that. It's like, oh, I'm going to become physically fit, so I will exercise more. But if you don't go out and spend the time exercising, it's not going to happen. Same thing with every aspect of our life. If there's no time given to it, it's just not going to happen. The second thing is, if there's no time given to it, then it's really not important to you. You can say, oh, I'm going to really start sponsoring more people, but if you don't devote time to it, then it's not important to you. It's lip service that you're giving to the activity. So you have to devote time to the important things, because if you're not giving them time, they're not important, right? So it's kind of it sounds kind of circular, but if you stop and think about it, that's really the bottom line on all of that. So how do we go from here? Well, the most important thing that has to happen is you need to start designating time. So based on a 20-hour week, you need to use a planner to design a business that keeps your priorities. So what does that mean? Well, you can use a digital planner if you want, or you can use a pen and paper planner. It doesn't really matter because it's the same process either way. I will tell you that what we've discovered in the last couple of years is that people have moved away from digital planners. The problem with looking at that little schedule on your phone is you can't see everything that's going on. It helps you keep track of your appointment that's coming up and making sure that you're punching it in there into your GPS so you get there, or the phone number. But it doesn't give you that bigger picture to say, am I working on my business 20 hours a week? So that's where a paper planner tends to be better for entrepreneurs. So get a planner. The second thing is, a planner is used for more than just your appointments. Now, I would bet dollars to donuts that you all have a planner of some sort and you have your important appointments in that planner. The key thing is that you need to have a plan for your business, not just a reminder of your appointments. A plan for your business. So what you need to do is you need to take that planner and you can say, when I'm working this week for my 10 hours in terms of my personal business, and mark those slots in your planner. Okay? That way you're looking at that planner and you're saying, oh, it's time to work on this, it's time to work on this, it's time to work on this, so that you're spacing that time out in your planner for 20 hours a week. So you're doing it more than appointments. That's the important thing to be doing that. Now, I know things come up if you've got children or husbands or other things that happen and suddenly that time is not available. Well, then what you do is you don't just blow it off and forget about it. You change around what's happening. So let's say you were going to spend 2 hours on the phone Friday afternoon working to reach out to people about sponsoring. And your husband says, hey, we need to be doing this. So you say, okay. And what you do is you spend time with your husband on Friday afternoon, but then you put that 2 hours maybe a little bit later on Friday. Maybe you're going to split an hour into Friday later and an hour into Saturday morning. So you're making sure that those times are in there, even if they switch. Having business time scheduled has to happen. Time is flexible. Work is flexible, but it's not optional. If you say, well, I'm not going to do it, then you're not spending the time on your business priority for the week. There's another thing that happens with that that's really kind of important. When you've got it designated in your planner and somebody says, hey, can we do this? You can say, I'm sorry, I'm committed for that time right now. So it gives you a reason to tell people no. And it's kind of a funny thing, but people are very reasonable if you give them a reason. So if you say, I can't meet with you right now, I've already got that time committed, or how about this time? They'll say, oh, okay, because they realize you're an entrepreneur and your time's not all your own and you have to meet with other people. So if you give them a reason, people will be flexible. It's not a life and death emergency, so for you or for others. So with that, be flexible with your time, but don't be optional with your schedule. So what are the things you're going to put in your planner? Well, these are all of the things you want to make sure you're keeping track of. Your personal obligations, family, church, or other jobs, so that you've got it all in that one place. Jaffa events or Jaffa training meetings or calls like this one, you want those in your planner. Dates where you want to be holding parties, dates where you have parties already scheduled. Sponsoring, time to contact, time to invite people to sit down with you, time to invite people to join you, time to invite people to hear about the opportunity and those opportunity calls that you're making. And finally, the section in terms of developing leaders. You're going to be spending time coaching and mentoring people as they become leaders, helping them to sponsor, helping them to start to change what they're doing with their scheduling. So you need to make sure that that's in your time to be able to talk to people. Last thing I want to talk about here is in terms of flex time. This is time for you to be able to talk to people. So if it's, you need to be able to reschedule time and think about things that are locked into your schedule and things that can change within your schedule. The important thing is that they're scheduled and they're in your planner, and then you can start to make changes from them at that point in time. But if you don't schedule them, then they're going to get ignored along the way. Now, there's a couple things to help you with your flex time. First rule is that if it's less than 15 minutes, you don't have to put it in your schedule. Okay, maybe you can add it to your to-do list, and suddenly if an appointment canceled or you have some time you hadn't planned on, then go to that to-do list and do those things that take less than 15 minutes. The flip side of that is if it takes more than 15 minutes, you need to put it in your scheduler so that you've got dedicated time to having it happen. So use that flex time for those little things. Use dedicated time for anything that takes more than 15 minutes. Now that's a good rule of thumb for just about everybody we've ever worked with. Because if it takes more than 15 minutes and you don't have it scheduled, you'll say to yourself, oh, I don't have time to get this done. Whereas if you've got it scheduled for 15 minutes, you'll make it get done within the time that's available to you. The second thing is called what's called one-touch processing. As much as possible, when you do something, you only want to touch it once. So when you go to your email, when you read that email, you're going to respond right then. You're going to file it on a to-do list. So you're done with the email. It's become part of your to-do list. Or you're just going to delete it. But it's a one-touch processing. You're not going to scan it and come back and scan it again and then finally get around to deleting it. Or you look at the subject line and go, I'll come back to this later. And the next thing you know, you've got 1,000 or 5,000 unread emails in your inbox. So do a one-touch approach to your things like email and Messenger. When you see them, act or put it on a to-do list, but don't ever go back to that message or that email. So that's some of the basics of time management. 10, 6, and 4 are really your key metrics. Schedule them, plan them, and you'll be on your way to be moving up. Deanna, you want to add some things at this point, I bet.
Oh, you know what I do? I absolutely do. If you have really taken away anything from this, I think there are 3 key things that I just want to underline that Neil talked about. One is 10-6-4, second is designate, and third is, and this is a little piece, but really, really, really good, and that is if it takes more than 15 minutes, it should be scheduled. It should be put into your planner. And yes, you look in the library in the table of contents, and you will find a whole unit called Bring on the Balance. It's one's on managing contacts, one's on how to have a flexible schedule, one is on how to, things that you can do right now to get better, and also things to do when you're on overload. And so I do want to talk a little bit about overload before we go into the next piece. All of us have things that in our life that all of a sudden we're on overload. Okay, and I'm going to name some common times when we're working with clients that happen. One is if we are around a holiday, if we're getting ready for the 4th of July, if we're getting ready for Christmas, if we're getting ready for Valentine's Day or a vacation. Those are times when we seem like I've got so much to go on, you know, and it's really easy for our business to take a second seat. When that happens, we truly suggest, oh, and let me tell you another time. Another time is when you're shifting or pivoting, like when you guys have been pivoting, congratulations, you've done a fantastic job, to being online. All of a sudden you feel a little overwhelmed about all the things you have to learn, all the things that you have to put into place. What we suggest that you do at that point is to do what we call a brain dump. It's a brain dump. And you just take a clean piece of paper, and in that clean piece of paper, you set the timer for 15 minutes and you list every single thing that you want to get done, everything that you want to get done. Okay, so what I mean is, like, I'm getting ready for 4th of July. Okay, I want to make sure that I buy red, white, and blue things. I want to decorate the house. Oh, I need to keep sponsoring. I need 2 more indirects. I need everything that's just in your brain to get it out of your brain and onto paper. The reason we have you do that is because your brain is kind of like a computer. What happens when you got too many windows open and you got too many things running? What happens? Well, you know what happens. Your computer freezes. And that's exactly what happens with you. Your brain freezes. And so you get paralyzed and you don't accomplish nearly as much as if you started listing everything that's in your brain, everything that you want to get accomplished. And then you'll decide what you're doing. You'll decide which are the most important things for you to be doing. And maybe getting those 2 indirects so you can get your bonus is more important than getting out the red, white, and blue decorations. You'll have to decide what those times are. So those are the 3 things that I just wanted to underline, Neil. And I think the next thing for us to do is to talk about benchmarks. Benchmarks. One of the things that I think too often we do in direct sales, and I've seen it happen with Jafra leaders, is that we just say, we take this great big, I want to go on the trip. I want to get to the quarterly bonus, right? We're getting ready to get ready for that for the next quarter. Whoops, go back to the benchmarks. And what happens is that we just get overwhelmed because of this huge, huge hunk that we want to accomplish, okay? Instead, we need to break that down into what we call chunks. And the chunks are the things that you're going to do that are, what's the word I want to use? Breaking breaking it down into monthly and weekly goals of where you want to be by the first week, by the third week, by the fourth week. Okay, so those chunks. Now somebody needs to probably mute because we've got some extra background news. So those chunks. Then the next one is bites. And the bites are the things that you're going to do. Those are the individual activities that you're going to do. So setting those benchmarks. Now I'm going to get you some examples of some benchmarks, okay? One is let's say you have a goal to sell $4,000 every single month personally. $4,000 to sell every single month. Are you going to wait until the last week to do that? God, I hope not. You're going to set a benchmark that by this week, by the first of the week, I want to have 10% of it done or 20%. Some leaders even have their sales goal done by the first 2 weeks of the month as a benchmark so that they can focus on future business in their personal sales, reorder business, and that's kind of extra. And then also in addition to that, they can use that time prospecting in the last 2 weeks. It's all up to you on how you want to run your business, but it makes sense to set some benchmark. In recruiting, you want to be recruiting at least, right? At least 2 people every single month, right? That's kind of like a minimum to do. And so do you want to wait until the last day to do that? No. Maybe you want to front load and say by the third week, I'm going to have all of my conversations in and I'm going to have my 2 people so that I can begin to work on spending some time with them, getting them started for the next month. Another benchmark is how many people you want to promote. We talk about this a lot when in the Success Squad. Promoting is not something you do just to get to a rank advancement. Promoting is something you do as a way of life. It's your job to be working on leadership development, helping people sponsor those indirects, not just so that you can get a bonus, helping people promote to branch manager, not just so that you can get a rank advancement or a trip. It's really and truly part of your job description. So even if you're a brand new branch manager and you're watching us today going, oh my gosh, really? Because I just thought I need to just build a bigger team. No, you can be building a bigger team and promoting people at the same time. I think we have some people in Jafford that have been doing that. So let's get real specific, Neil, and let's talk about the personal business. When we say half of your time on personal business, 10 hours on personal business, what in the world are we talking about? Well, here's what we're talking about. These are the activities, and these are the things that you want to make sure you're doing. One is booking. Are you booking those online events? Now, lots of you have gone to doing online events in your VIP group, which is great. Some of you have done Zoom classes, and that's great. That's still an event. Some of you have done Facebook parties, and that's an event. But working on booking and having them lined up for the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks is an important piece. Once we are able to see people again and be with people again, I'm going to tell you, your business is still going to look different because you've discovered there's a whole world out there that you can meet in your personal business online, and a whole world that still wants that live touch. And so don't tell us, oh, none of my friends are on Facebook. Maybe they are and you just don't know. So I would recommend that you go through and think of the people, all of the people that you've done business with, and look and find them on Facebook and also become their friends on Facebook so that you can stay connected with them that way. Not just through email, because a lot of people don't open their email, but then if they're your friend, they're going to see your messages quicker and better. I know it's worked for some people. If that's already worked for you, is friending more people and upping your friend list, give us a thumbs up in the chat that yes, that's been working. Hostess coaching, just because we've gone online is no reason for you to dump your brains out and say, oh, okay, I don't need to worry about that anymore. No, you're still hostess coaching because you have to make sure that she knows what she'd like for a wish list. You know, there are like 5 things in host coaching, right? She needs to know how to invite people because just clicking invite does not get people to her event or to her Facebook party. She needs to learn how to get pre-orders from people who can't attend. She needs to know exactly what to say to talk to people about booking their own event before the party if they can't attend or if they are going to attend. She needs to know the details on how orders are going to be placed so that she can be more effective. And in that, she needs to know that she wants to be an active part of the party or whatever event that you're having. She wants to be an active part. So that's part of your designated time, making time in your schedule to say, okay, in this 10 hours a week, I'm going to be doing some host coaching. I'm going to actually be doing those Facebook parties myself. It's a little bit different now. I will, if you haven't got a third-party app to post some of your to schedule things, you can schedule them on Facebook in groups. You can schedule, I think, in events, but there's a third-party app that a lot of people use. It's called, one's Post My Party, but SynchShare is one where you can batch share, and you can, when I say batch share, you can take a whole bunch of posts and you can put them into your Facebook party so they're scheduled to go off at the time that you want them to go out. Here's a piece that I truly believe new branch managers don't understand. It's getting new customers, new clients. I was talking with one of the leaders that are on this call and saying, what would be a good number for a new branch manager to have to get to 30 customers? Now think about this. Your average reorder rate is probably, what, about $200? Is that right? I'm thinking that's what I've heard, that it's about $200. Let's say it's just $100. If you have 30 customers and now they reorder every 3 months, that's $3,000 every 3 months. Right? So if you have 30 customers a month that you're in touch with, that reorder business grows and grows and gives you a steady, solid income. So really cultivating those people that are your new customers is critical to a new branch manager. It's also important for all of us to continue to do it, but it's really important. So I'd say a benchmark for that, and you can tell me if it's wrong, but I would say 30 customers. First, really work for a new branch manager to get 30 customers who are going to be buying from you. And after you do that, you can expand and say, okay, now I'm going to work on 60 customers. Then I'm going to work on 90. Some of you have even more than that. But then spend the time, put it in designate time every single month to work on getting reorders. That's important. The final piece of your personal business is one that many people say, oh, I just get lost on this one. I don't do it. I just get up and work. No, it's planning. Part of what Neil talked about is sitting down every week and taking time out of your 10 hours to plan your schedule and designate. That way you can look and say, when do I want to work 4th of July week? Not just, oh, well, I'm not working that week because that's vacation. Right? Or if you're on vacation, how am I going to make up for that before and after? So when I come home, I've got business and activities to come home to, not just, oh, well, yeah, I should probably get back to work. Anytime that you are going to be taking time off, you want to make sure that you work on it. Okay, so if your reorder business is only $50 a client, then you want to have, still at 30 clients, you're still going to have $1,500 a month. You just want to continue to get more and more clients. And you probably want to talk to some people about that have a higher reorder business and what they do to get bigger reorders, how they sell in sets or what products they add on. So that planning piece is really important. Neil, do you have anything to add to this personal business before I go on to sponsoring?
I would just highlight one thing, which is taking a little time every week to look at your schedule, because that's a part where you're working on your business, not just in your business. And I think that working on your business lets you meet your goals easier and more often.
Okay, fair enough. That's good. So personal business, that's what you can do. I think that's great. Next, this 6 hours on sponsoring. Now, Success Squad know this really well because there are some real key activities. How long does it take to have a real recruiting conversation? A good one, probably 30 minutes, right? But to get a really good 30-minute recruiting conversation, it probably takes 30 hours of inviting people to hear about it. Now, we teach 2 invites. We teach you invite people to hear about it. That way you're not looking pushy. And then when you have the recruiting conversation, then you invite them to join. 2 invites. It's kind of like getting married versus dating, okay? If you just say, join my business, you're asking them to marry you before they've even heard about what kind of company you have or what kind of person you are. So when you invite them to hear about Jafra, it may surprise you. It's less threatening, it's less pushy, and it's real simple. And we use a process called OCI. If you don't know what OCI is by now, you can join TC Pro and look up recruiting, and you'll see exactly what to say for OCI: observe, compliment, and invite. So we don't have time to teach OCI today.
Jackie's talked about that a lot in the last few months, I know, so.
Yeah, but it's not just inviting to join, it's inviting to hear about the business. That I think is a critical piece. It takes about half an hour of inviting people to get one person to say, yeah, I'll listen. You have to invite a lot of people, right? So here's what I want to tell you. If you want to do in 6 hours, if you want to do 6 interviews a week, that would be about 3 hours, and about 3 hours inviting people. So literally with this time, you could do 6 interviews every single week. And if you're smart, you could do even more by doing pop-up events in your VIP group, because I'm sure you're all starting to have VIP groups. So once a week, just going on and going live and just sharing the information, but inviting certain people that are in that group. You know, I've been thinking about you. You love our product. You just are such a product of the product. I mean, your skin looks great. You look great. I would love to have you on my team, but I don't know if you want to join or not. I'm doing a real casual little pop-up tonight. I'd like to invite you to come and hear a little bit more about Jafra, the 4 fun facts about Jafra, or you can talk about the itch in Jafra, all of those things that I'm talking about, TC Pro. So doing those recruiting conversations, it also requires you to follow up. When you do events, people don't just go, okay, yeah, I'm signing up. No, you have to do a follow-up. You have to say, when someone you've invited to hear about the business, here's the best question you can ask. The best question that you can ask. You can say to them, what piqued your interest about Jafra? What made you agree to talk to me about Jafra? And you will get all sorts of different answers, won't you? You'll get, well, I was looking for something anyway. Well, that's really good, right? Or, I just like you, and I just said, I just want to spend some time with you, or, I don't know. I was thinking maybe it's something I want to do. I was just being polite. Whatever it is, that's going to end up affecting and building the conversation that you have. So spending that time inviting, doing the conversations, doing an event to get to more people and following up, that's 6 hours right there if you really, really want to grow your business. Now, what's wonderful is that in Jafra, you have an opportunity to have people model with you and work with you. You're not doing it for them. And that's really, really fun. That is really, really fun. Okay, so that's your 6 hours. Neil, anything to add about those 6 hours in recruiting?
Schedule it.
Schedule it and designate time to work on it. Absolutely, absolutely. So based on this 20-hour week, we've talked about your personal sales. We've talked about the next piece, which is all of this on recruiting and sharing and having those conversations. And now you're enrolling people, and the next piece is going to be on developing. And I want you to think about this in 2 ways: developing others and developing yourself. That leadership development is not just, oh, I'm going to teach all these people how to do it. It's keeping yourself current and focused. And I'm going to tell you the truth. If I can learn it, you can learn it. And I know some of you took a big swallow and said, oh, I got it like in my throat. But you have done a fantastic job of learning a lot about technology. That's part of your leadership development. You want to stay relevant. If you've been in Jafra 35 or 40 years, you can't do business the way you used to. You just can't. And so we all have to stay relevant. Neil has to, I have to, Jack, we all do. And those who do not will fall behind. And those who do not work on their leadership skills, remember when we talked, I want to pull this thread through about the characteristics of a leader. If you are not revisiting that and not working on that every single week and paying attention to yourself, then you're going to fall behind. That is absolutely the truth. And so what's involved in here? Well, definitely onboarding and helping people get started. And you guys have some great systems that are already in your system with Jafra to help people get started. They're fantastic. But the training, not just that you're doing, but the training that you're taking advantage of, the calls that you're on, the coaching calls that you're on, and the coaching calls and training that you're offering for your people. The connecting with people. Did you notice I didn't say contacting? There's a very big difference between connecting online and contacting online. Write these 2 words down: effective, efficient. It is very efficient to post in your Facebook group, here's the announcement. It is very efficient to cut, paste, cut, paste, cut, paste That's efficient, and it's not always effective. There's a difference between connecting with people at a one-on-one level and just contacting them. I always want to share with you that this is, as a leader, never underestimate the power of your voice. I'll say that again. Never underestimate the power of your voice. Because if I'm reading a text and I'm in a terrible mood and Neil sends me a text and he says, I'm on my way home. He's on his way home. But if he calls and says, honey, I'm stuck in traffic and I'm on my way home, I'm going to change my energy about it. If you are texting a consultant who is in a crappy mood and you said, oh, I'm just checking in, how's everything going? She's like, scroll. But if you pick up that phone, or you hit when she's, online, and you do a video chat with her, or you leave her a message that's cheery and perky and I'm thinking of you, she doesn't feel like you're just checking to see if you're selling anything. She knows that you care about her. And that's part of the character of a leader, that you are coming from a place of service, not just, well, I need her to get some sales in because I really need to make my numbers this month. That's not the characteristic of a leader. So connecting, filling their needs, and then advancement. All of those things, when you are a new branch manager, you're spending 4 hours a week on doing that. If you are spending more than 4 hours, then you're probably telling yourself you need to spend more than 20 hours a week on your business. So if if you're beginning to pump it up, we've noticed district directors spend more than 20 hours a week on their business. Many of them are spending 30 or 40 hours a week. That totally makes sense because you've got more things to do. And so make sure that you are making time to take care of yourself and grow your own self. Okay, so Neil, anything to add about developing?
I would just, the piece I would highlight is to make sure that you're working to develop your people, but you always need to raise your ceiling as well. So be spending some time developing yourself.
Okay, so that's how we break out our time. Let's talk about some more tasks of a leader. One of your tasks of a leader is to influence and lead your team. And if you come from that place of service, and if you really are listening to what we talked about last month about, oh, wasn't that a beautiful word cloud that we made that was so good, about all the stuff that you guys put together. It was so beautiful. And a big part of it was listening, and a big part of it was trust, and a big part of it was being of service. And that is something that you all recognize. So if you're going to lead people, it's much easier to lead them when you have permission. When you have permission to lead. Many new branch managers say, I don't want to tell her what to do because I don't want to push her. I'm afraid she might quit. Or I don't want to talk to these people about making their numbers when they're a branch manager because I don't want them to, feel like I'm pressuring them. So you don't have to. The way that you get around that is you ask permission. Every time you feel a little bit like, oh, I might be a little pushy, ask permission. Can I have permission to share this with you? Can I have permission to lead you? Can I have permission to ask you a few questions? Can I have permission to coach around that with you? So somebody calls and they're saying, I don't know, I have no business. I don't want to do, or worse yet, they don't even call. They just go dark on you, right? So that's when you reach out to them and you say, you know what? I haven't heard from you. I've been reaching out for you. I would just love to have permission to have a conversation with you. You see how non-threatening and non-pushy that is? And it is serving them rather than assuming that they don't want to work or assuming. So always ask for permission. I think that's an important thing as you do the task. You don't do that when you're recruiting, you ask permission. Can I tell you about this, right? I'd love to invite you to hear about it. That's asking permission. When you're talking to a host, you don't go, you're going to have a party, right? No, you don't. I mean, if you talk that way, God bless you, I hope you don't. But, when you talk to people, it's like, I would love to have you a party. You want to have a party? It'll be fun. You're asking permission. So those are all, I think, key pieces that we want to share with everybody. And we want to open this up for questions. But obviously, for more information, for more training on this, there is no doubt in my mind that TC Pro is a place where you can get more information and more training. I'll put it in the chat one more time. Let me see. I'm going to put it to everyone. Or Neil, I can't find everyone. Okay, to everyone.
Yeah. Now, we know that one of the hardest pieces as you're going up the leadership ladder is in working in terms of developing other people. And so we have Team Connections Pro is really focused on the 3 key buckets. The the one you spend a lot of time on as you're becoming a leader is the idea of sponsoring. And there's a lot of material in there. One of the newest series is one of our most popular one, which is Cracking the Recruiting Code in a Digital World, because it's a whole new world trying to recruit online instead of just recruiting face-to-face. And the other thing is in terms of how do I develop leaders? How do I get people involved in leadership? And we have three of the key pieces shown here on this slide. One is Advancing Leaders, which is a little ebook to really kind of focus you on the key activities as a leader. There's a series of videos called Launch More Leaders, which has been updated, and it's really a great piece to dig into a lot of depth on that. And finally, one of the things that you're going to do as a leader is invite people to join you as leadership. Just like when they join you in your business, you invite them to sit down and hear about the opportunity, and then you go through what the opportunity involves. And then when you're done, you ask them if they want to join, right? That's permission-based approach to recruiting. You're going to ask permission, you're going to invite, and then you're going to ask them to join. Well, it's the same thing when it comes to leadership. You're going to invite them to sit down with you to hear about the leadership opportunity. You'll go through a business interview talking about the leadership opportunity, and then you're going to ask them if they want to commit to that. So the invitation to leadership includes the role playing, so you can see exactly how that whole invitation process works. These are just three of the pieces that are about leadership that are in Team Connections Pro.
You know, I counted it up, Neil. There are 10 ebooks. There are over 100 documents. There are over 12 classes that are video classes. And literally, I couldn't believe this. There are like over 100 audios that you can download and listen to it when you're in your car, or when you're on your, when you're walking, or if you want to do it when you're on the treadmill, whatever. There's just a lot of material in there. But the thing that I really think that I want to stress more than anything is that anybody who's in it can chime in and tell them, it's the individual coaching that then sends you, okay, this is what you need training on, go get this training. We don't sit and train you in the 15 minutes. What we're doing is helping you get from one place where you are to where you want to be. And it's the coaching that bridges the gap between what you know and what you're not doing. You know what? Some of you have been in Jaffa for a long time. You know what to do. The key is you've not been doing it. And so when you have a coach that you're paying, you're going to take it more seriously. You're going to be more accountable. So I think that, you know, that's really the thing that I want to share with you more than anything else. Plus, we have a private Facebook group that's like a super secret Facebook group where we share. And the other thing that Carol Boyer has discovered, and Debbie Yingling has discovered, and Hannah's discovered, and some of the members in Pro, is that when we do a new class and we charge people for it, $20, you know, 2 for $20, $12, every time we do a new class, members get those classes absolutely free. So, you know, if you say, wow, I really want to take some stuff on social media, it's in there. And when we do a new class on it, you get it free. You don't have to sign up and pay. So whether it was the Survive and Thrive Bootcamp, all of the people who are already in Pro. So that's enough. I think we want to talk about that. Neil, I think we're going to open it up for questions now.
Well, not quite.
Okay,
let me mention one thing, one other thing about Team Connections Pro, which is there, as you can tell from what Danny had to say, there's a ton of material in the reference library there for you. So when you join, the first thing we do is ask you to set an orientation call so that we can sit with you and say, okay, so what's the place that you think will really grow your business right now? So that we can help you focus on the materials and get started with the coaching on those. Now, one other thing before we open it up for questions, and Jackie has this. I know everybody who was in the Success Squad last fall has seen it, but this is really one of those key pieces. Coming in, I know you're coming up to the end of the quarter and the end of June, and you're really focused hard on that, and that's great. And we know a lot of you are going to be successful in terms of getting your bonuses during the second quarter. But the third quarter starts in July. So this is a handout, and it's really a great piece that we want you to print off, and we want you to really put it on your refrigerator or stick it up on the wall in your office so you can keep track. This is your track to success in the third quarter. The number of direct people that are joining you, the number of indirect, and finally the new managers that you're working for. So this is your tracking sheet for success in the third quarter. We really want you to start using this from the beginning. Managing your time, managing your business is a real proactive thing to do. It's what makes you a business leader, the fact that you're out front And one of the ways you're out front is keeping track of what you're doing. That's your date book, and that's your success squad tracker. So please get involved with this so that you can find your way to more success. And with that said, let me stop the screen sharing, and we'll open it up here for questions at this point. So are there any questions from the chat, Anna?
I don't have a question, but I do just have an endorsement. You guys, what they're saying works. When I was in the Success Squad last fall, I did exactly what they told me to do, and I promoted 2 managers, and I got the quarterly bonus. Again, I did that this past quarter. I did exactly what we did in the Success Squad. I promoted 2 managers, and I got the quarterly bonus. So it works. I just really want to encourage you guys that for a $20 value a month or whatever, she just said it's normally $47. They're giving it to us for $20. You get the private coaching sessions. You can tweak your plan mid-month with them. It really, really works. Jafra's giving us a huge gift. And so I just want to say, like, take advantage of what they're telling you to do and just do it. If you want that bonus, this is how you get it. That's all.
Thanks, Hannah. Well, I know I've worked with Hannah, and you guys, you've all seen her move up and move up, but Hannah is very coachable, but Hannah also stops and takes time for her own leadership development. Like some of us are in pro, but we don't make the coaching calls, or you were in pro and I didn't take advantage of the stuff. That's nothing works unless you do. And so I think that's an important piece. We'll also challenge your thinking sometimes in your coaching. If you say, oh no, I can't do this, we'll say, whoa, let's shift paradigm, challenge you to change your thinking on this one. So I know some of you have, I'm just looking, is Vicki here? Vicki, you have definitely, go ahead and share, because you and I have had some great conversations in coaching that you've really shifted the way you look at things and how you work your business, even on the boat off of Florida.
Yeah, it's really helped me a lot. I know that my approach was maybe too forward, too much information to begin with. And I love asking permission and not asking them to marry me right away. That was a good one. I had to learn that. I gave them too much information. So
and it literally took us several coaching calls for you to finally go, okay, I get it, right? I mean, we can hear something and we can know it, but then doing it, when you get called out and say, okay, because I know, Vicki, I remember saying, what are you asking them to marry you again? Oh God, yeah, I am. Okay, I'll stop.
Yeah, that's one place where the coaching really helps, is because after you've been in business for a while, you develop some business habits, right? And they're hard to break out of those habits. And so the coaching call just really keeps you accountable to the changes you want to make. So that's why it works so well, because it keeps you focused on those things. And hey, if you don't want to
change, if what you're doing is working and you don't want to change, do not join TC Pro, because we are change agents. I mean, I'm just going to tell you that right now. And I just want to give you permission, don't join and think you have to join because it's a Jafra deal. If you're not willing to change, don't join, because honestly, we will, you're giving us permission when you pay that money to look at things and do things differently. Okay, questions or comments, or a lot of great comments. I didn't see anything. I did just post SynthShare, I believe. Someone's asking about.
Well, let me ask this then. I mean, we really kind of opened up the spigot and thrown a lot at you for the last 45 minutes. Take just a second and write in chat the thing that's the most important piece that you're taking away today.
Good.
Just pick one. Right?
Yeah.
You can't say, oh, there's so much. You have to pick one.
Yeah. Good.
Because when you pick, it's one that's going to stick with you.
Good. I did post the TC Pro link several times. You can copy it. I also posted a SynthShare link, so you can try SynthShare. I think you've got a 7-day or 30-day freebie on SynthShare if you need a posting app. It's really, and they have more tutorials than anybody. There's a lot of posting apps, but I think SynthShare is, they have more tutorials on how to do it, videos on how to do it, and they keep up with things. Brain dump, that's good. Making time dedicated to those tasks, that's great. I would love to hear from some of the, are there new branch managers that are on the call today? New branch managers, wave your hands. Any new ones on today? I'm going to look and see on the next page.
The brain dump, I love the brain dump because it really is very important. And I did this with a lot of clients right when the pandemic first kind of exploded on people. Because it's like, oh, I'm just so overwhelmed. I said, so let's make a list of the things that are important to you here. And what they discovered is they were worrying about things they couldn't do anything about. So it really helped them get focused back on the places where they matter in their life, right? Rather than thinking about that other stuff. So that's kind of an important piece. And a brain dump can help you realize where you're focusing.
Oh, that's great. Hannah's got her 2 managers here. That's fantastic. 2 invites is good. 15 minutes or more to get it, to put it in your schedule. Marie, thank you. She loves the 4 fun facts. I'm going to tell you, we are really, because we have an opportunity to work with lots of different companies. And so lots of the things that have kept us relevant, we've learned from you, but we've also learned from other companies. And 4 fun facts is something I learned from one of my clients, because I was always saying they're the 4 F words. And she goes, I'd like to rearrange that and call it 4 fun facts instead. I go, oh, that sounds good. That sounds good. So now I don't say the 4 F words anymore. I say 4 fun facts. How do you get to the coaching? Somebody wants to know. Well, you once you sign up, you have your orientation, and Neil will show you how to sign up for coaching. There's a tab called TC Pro Coaching, and it's easy to do. If you are in Pro and you set your coaching calls, raise your hand if you know it's easy. Yep, it is easy. You just have to remember to show up, because we don't chase you.
Yeah, it's we use an app called Calendly, which is the most popular app for scheduling on the internet. So yeah. It's popular because it's simple, right? We can all figure it out. So that's kind of helpful.
That's I really like that. You know, the focus is to have 5 directs, 1 and 6 indirects, reaching out to many. But do I have your permission to share a little more about Jafra? Great. That's a great takeaway from somebody who was in Success Squad. So, you know, you've heard it, but all of a sudden you get a little nuance by hearing it again and hearing it again. So we love working with you guys. I hope you know that. I mean, we're just so excited for the new people that are on that we've never met. We're excited for those people that have been in the business that like took a fresh breath of air and said, you know, we're going to work differently and we're going to become relevant. And I got to tell you, I know, Jackie, you bragged on them, but we are so proud of you for making this pivot to being online and to, you know, you've just done a fantastic job, and you can continue to do that. Somebody wants to know Calendly. It's CLAENDLY.com, right, Neil?
I'm going to add it in there.
But Neil's doing it in there. So watch Neil's instead of me. Okay. Jackie, anything you want to add?
I just want to say fantastic. Did you all love today? Oh my gosh, you packed it in a 45-minute, absolute perfect overall view of leadership. So I love where we started last month, where we've come today. What do we do? And we have one more course, everyone, that will come next month, 3rd Friday of the month, in the month of July. That will end our 3-month Leadership 101 course. And then we'll be announcing our coaching program that will be about an 8-week boot camp that approximately up to 30 of you will be eligible to be with in our coaching program with Dana, Neil, and myself, just like the Success Squad we did a year ago last fall. And so we're looking forward to that. Here's the key. We're going to be looking at those who are applying what we're talking about, earning the quarterly bonus. I mean, June. You know, there's still, what is there, 12 days left counting today? 11 days?
11.
So guess what? You could have 1 a day for the next 6 days and they all join with a friend and you could be right on track. So there's a lot of June left for quarter 2. So we're going to be looking at those that are accomplishing what we're teaching. And again, keeping that recipe. Dana talked about too personal. That's like a have to as a leader, right? But the other piece to that is influencing indirects as well. 2 a month yourself, 3 indirects equal the power of 5. And that's truly the recipe that we work with, because then you have that bucket of future leaders, the third column on that tracking form. So the time is now. Get using those muscles, and we'll be telling you more about the coaching program coming as we move into August and September. So Dana and Neil, thank you, thank you, thank you for honestly an incredible power hour. And we look forward to seeing you again in our final course. Go ahead and wrap it up.
We have one more special gift for you that we are sending to Jackie, and it's something that you can share with anybody who wants to be a leader, anybody who wants to be successful, and they are 10 tips on etiquette. And there are things that maybe you know, maybe things that you were taught way long ago, but things that we've noticed that companies don't necessarily teach anymore. Things like always start the applause. It's okay if you're the first one to start the applause, because that changes the energy in the room when, right? Yeah, and things like turning your complaints into requests. You know, so it's 10 etiquettes. We're going to share it with Jackie, and I'm sure, Jackie, you'll put it out wherever you want to put it. It's a PDF just that we made for you guys, and we're excited. And then the second thing is if you are always looking for articles for training to work on with your team, oh my gosh, you don't have to write them yourself. Get our blog. I think most of you get our blog. And if you don't want to get it by email, you can just go to our website, go to our blog, put in the search booking, put in the search prospecting, and you will get tons and tons of free articles that you can share with your team on your page, because you don't have to think it up all yourself. You know, there are people that are out there doing it, and I think there are over 1,600 articles. Neil, is that right?
Well, there's over 1,000, and most of them can be read in under 5 minutes.
Right. So they're quickies for your team to read. And who gets our blog? I think some of you already get our blog. And it's so easy to share those, you know, in your group with your new people. So great. That's all I wanted to say. Neil?
Finish strong. Oh, wait, Janet, you're muted. You need to unmute yourself.
Okay. Yeah, the blog is on the Team Connection Pro site.
No, it's on the teamconnections.org.
Oh, okay.
Everything's on the Team Connections. Pro is on Team Connections, is off at teamconnections.org. Blog there's free stuff for your consultants to get there and for you to get. There's a list.
Yeah, I just put the general site in the chat. If you click on that, you can see all the free stuff. You can sign up for the blog. You can find the Facebook group to get to the Facebook group from there. So,
and
almost everything that's in our store is available on Pro.
Okay, so
and really quickly, the OCI document, is that under cracking the recruiting code?
Yeah, it'll be under cracking the recruiting code in a digital age. Mm-hmm.
Okay, thanks.
I think we're done, Jackie.
It's also in our recruiting resources. So it's also in recruiting resources. There's a volume 1 and volume 2.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us live. Yes, we've recorded it. You'll have it all in your WhatsApp, Facebook, email. You know it goes everywhere we go. So thank you so much again. Let's go, Amber Region. Finish strong, as Neil said. Thank you so much. Bye. See you next month.
Bye.
Bye.
thank you.